Speaking of defending the existence of militant resistance groups, James Cameron, who is my GOAT. Obviously, there's a new avatar that just came out. I have to promote my favorite white boy with motion to the best of my ability here, okay? My favorite white boy with motion, James Cameron, says Palestinian struggle is righteous. In a recent interview, renowned filmmaker James Cameron, director of the Avatar franchise, described the Palestinian plight as existential. Speaking on the portrayal of war in his latest film, Avatar: Fire and Ash, Cameron drew parallels between fictional narratives and real-world crises. The comments were made during a director debrief interview with journalist Brandon Davis, released shortly after the film's premiere on December 19th. In the interview, Cameron stated, "It's a fine line. Killing only leads to more killing, an endless expanding spiral. That's what we've seen. We've seen it in Gaza. We've seen it in Sudan. We've seen it in Ukraine." He continued, "There are some fights that are righteous, and total annihilation is a reason to fight. It's existential. This is different than the way people actually perceive Palestinians as perfect victims. I need you to understand the significance of a statement such as this one, okay? Saying that the Palestinian struggle is righteous is basically the most like palatable way of openly stating that, you know, you kind of understand why Hamas is doing the things it's doing, okay? For a guy with such a high profile, especially in an industry like Hollywood, to be able to come out and say stuff like this is a major tide shift. Okay, Cameron remarks align with the narrative of Avatar: Fire and Ash, where indigenous Na'vi characters confront human colonizers. The film, the third installment in the saga, delves into grief, loss, and redemption, mirroring what Cameron described as humanity's grief, greed, and willful destruction. Let's be real. That statement, especially coming from a guy like James Cameron, that statement coming from someone like me, obviously puts me in a mountain of trouble. And for the past 2 years, people have been consistently saying I'm a dangerous anti-Semite. Anti-Semitic terrorist over and over again. But when it's coming from James Cameron, that means that the tide has shifted so much. The tide has shifted so much that it's no longer just about Palestinians being seen as perfect victims, and that's the only time you can defend Palestinians. But instead, now you can also say you understand why some people are engaging in a righteous struggle against existential threats that seek to wipe them out. That is precisely what Israel is doing, okay? And it is perfectly understandable that there would be resistance against it. Here's the video of the quote. Let's watch it.
Capture all-out war in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Good guys are killing bad guys. They're each killing each other. They're each killing each other's animals and creatures. And yet I feel like when we see the sort of suffering, we only see the pain, mostly see the pain inflicted on the good guys. As
one of the things that I also saw that people were criticizing, which reminded me of there was all those like right-wing edgy boys that also lose their shit about Israel but are like otherwise neo-Nazis. What is it, like the anime account Daka or whatever was complaining that Ukrainians were using drones on horseback cavalry that the Russians were utilizing in Ukraine. And they were like, these guys killed horses. How dare they kill horses? Ukraine deserves to lose. And it's like, what do you mean? They're the ones using the horses. They're the ones invading Ukraine. Like, I'm not pro-NATO by any means, but what the do you expect the guys to do? What do you expect the people defending their territory to do? Just not, oh no, you're using a horse? I guess I can't blow it up then. Like, oh, don't touch the horses. What the It's ridiculous. Yeah, I saw someone being like, yeah, if Russians actually had child conscripts, these guys would yell at them for fighting against minors or something, instead of getting mad at the Russians for potentially using child conscripts in this hypothetical. Yes, I am a horse girl, but as a horse girl, get mad at the appropriate place here. Get mad at the people using the horses on the battlefield rather than get mad at the people using the horse on the battlefield rather than the people who are defending their homeland. Anyway,
if you're trying to make sure we don't empathize with the bad guys, can you talk about how fighting for what's right and walking that line requires that sort of portrayal?
It's a fine line,
yeah,
right? Because we go into Tulkun culture, and they say, killing only leads to more killing, an endless expanding spiral, right? And that's the world we live in right now. That's what we've seen. We've seen it in Gaza. We've seen it in Sudan. We've seen it in Ukraine. Mm-hmm. And you're doing an action movie. People are going to fight, right? But are you fighting for a just cause? Are you fighting for what you believe in? Are you fighting from a place of hatred or revenge? There are some fights that are righteous, and total annihilation is a reason to fight.
James Cameron's so close. James Cameron's so close to, like, I mean, he still lived up in this analysis because, like, no one is really fighting for revenge in this situation, right? Like, most people are fighting, the conquerors are fighting for a territorial expansion, for extraction of natural resources, or the enslavement of a people, right? Which is then commodified, then turned into another commodity, right? And then the people who are fighting back against that are usually fighting for survival. All the sectarian stuff, or all the ethnic tensions, all the religious tensions, all of that is basically just a galvanizing factor. But the main motivator is always about theft. It's always about stealing resources. It's always about acquiring more territory so that you can improve your economy.
It's existential.
You capture all-out war in this movie.
But I guess he's talking about the bad guys in his movie. But even then, the bad guys in the movie are there to, once again, they're not there to just simply enact revenge. They're there to extract resources. That's their goal. But in any case, like I said, big respect. The last time I heard someone so openly state, like a major player, so openly state the intentionality of their famous work was George Lucas, where George Lucas openly stated that the good guys were the Viet Cong and the bad guys, the Empire, was the United States of America. So, you know, very cool that James Cameron is still firmly in the halls of the greats. I'm not just saying that because I just watched Terminator 2 recently, after many, many years of not seeing it, where once again, he very deliberately made the villains the police, if you recall. And there is a specific reason for it. He says it himself. When asked why T-1000 was a cop, he says, the Terminator films are not really about the human race getting killed off by future machines. They're about us losing touch with our own humanity and becoming machines, which allows us to kill and brutalize each other. Cops think of all non-cops as less than they are, stupid, weak, and evil. They dehumanize the people they are sworn to protect and desensitize themselves in order to do that job. Good Hollywood used to be good, and now it's all pro-empire garbage. No, Hollywood has always had a pro-empire garbanzo attitude. There's just some who cut through that noise a little bit, okay? And those people are oftentimes creating works that have salience, works that are remembered forever. And I just wish that other people would recognize that, you know? My right-wing brother picked up on Kaige. He isn't in the online world at all. He told me, what's the big deal? This is dog. This is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. None of these chirpers and bad actors online get it. Yeah, it's fine. The George Lucas clip James Cameron is talking about is trying to talk over to George and say that Star Wars is actually about the American Revolution. James Cameron has come a long way, and it's nice to see. No, I mean, he has his moments. He has those moments where he doesn't get it, and then he has moments where he does get it, right? If the majority of Jews in Israel and America supported Israel at the height of genocide and conflated Judaism and Zionism themselves, then why go so far as to combat the conflation? It kind of does the work of ethno-supremacists in Israel. No, serious question. No, I actually disagree. It quite literally, not combating that conflation actually serves the purpose of ethno-supremacists. Do you understand? Because no matter how many people actually lean into it, that conflation is still false. Okay? Like, this is what I mean. The notion of generalization, the notion of like monolithizing an entire group of people is just incorrect across the board. It's not something that I believe. Just as I don't believe that like every white person is automatically a white supremacist, I don't believe that every Jewish person is automatically a Jewish supremacist. And the reason why I'm using white and Jewish in this situation to describe this to you is because in Israel, an ethno-nationalist country, Jews are the white people in Israel. And obviously the Ashkenazi Jews in America are also considered white as well. I mean, in general, but shouldn't the focus be on the supremacy, considering most Jews in Israel just don't care about the genocide? Yes, but it's not like I don't factor in the supremacist attitudes. I talk about Zionism being a fascist ideology all the time. You understand? If I wasn't doing that, then you would, I think, have a point. If I wasn't doing that, you'd have a point. But I don't shy away from saying that all the time. And I see it in the same exact vein as white supremacy in the United States of America. Just as there are liberals or progressive people who fall into the trap of thinking that they're progressive, but then exhibit, white supremacist tendencies from time to time, racist tendencies from time to time. I see liberal Zionists in a similar vein as well. And if my goal is to try and change the perspective of liberals or even right-wingers and reactionaries away from white supremacist attitudes, why would I not do the same thing for liberal Zionists? This is a major difference in opinion that I have with a lot of others who consistently say I am a servant of Israel. Now, there's not that many people who say stuff like that because it's utterly delusional to say something like that about a person who has been smeared as an anti-Semite over and over and over and over again by mainstream resources, as a matter of fact, with regular frequency, being called a terrorist and whatnot, especially as a fairly visible Muslim socialist political commentator in the United States of America. But, I am applying the exact same principle. I'm applying the exact same principle that I apply in all of these issues, in all of these situations. You understand? A reminder that Larry David is a ball knower on Barry Weiss. As much as I love Larry David, he has at times disappointed me. And he's literally coming out with like a Barack Obama executive produced comedy show that's coming out with like Seinfeld on it and stuff. So I'm just telling you right now, everyone will inevitably disappoint you. Okay. And I think Larry David is going to disappoint me this year. That's a lock for 2026, but I hope not.
Come for Shabbos dinner one of these weekends. We had Barry Weiss last Friday night. She's fantastic.
Yeah, he is a bit libbed up. Let's be real. Larry David is very funny, but he's a huge lib with not the best politics. I mean, yeah, I think if James Cameron and Larry David had a conversation about like, righteous militant resistance, I don't think Larry David would leave that conversation thinking about the humanity of Palestinians. I think he would leave that conversation potentially. Maybe I'm wrong. He hasn't really talked too much about this stuff at all, and I know his heart has been in the right place, at least historically. The Palestinian chicken episode is still goated, if not a little cringe. I don't think you guys have watched that in today's eyes. For the time being, it was a pretty bold episode, but if you look at it now, you'll see a both sides. It's definitely both sidesy, and it also places the emancipation and humanity of Palestinians on the virtues of how they are, which in and of itself is not great. But once again, it actually is pretty bold for the time being. So I think I'm pretty fair with my analysis on stuff like this. Also, Larry David did donate to, I think it was Kirsten Gillibrand, if I'm not mistaken, or Pete Buttigieg. So ever since I saw that, I was like, come on, man. Even Seinfeld has both sides shit. Watching it from now, Jerry is awful. Jerry Seinfeld is the worst part of Seinfeld. Seinfeld was carried by Costanza, who is supposed to be the character portraying Larry David. At least one thing I can say about Larry David is that I assume his silence over the last 2 years has probably been very frustrating for a lot of pro-Israel people. Like, I suspect they don't like that. I suspect that they hate that our boy hasn't said shit. And that in and of itself is probably speaking volumes in this regard. Larry David almost never publicly mentions Israel, but I have this suspicion he quietly finds the whole country a little ridiculous and holds his tongue. This is suspicion, but I do agree with this. I do agree with this suspicion. Like, there are, especially in the age group that he's in, it's usually fairly unique to have a Jewish person who is at that age range that has like any serious enmity towards the state of Israel. I think the very fact that he wasn't like coming out of the gates swinging with like a pro-Israel stance post October 7 kind of implies that he was already off the train a little bit. But again, we just have no idea. Hot take: Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld are not funny in any way, shape, or form. And the people who find them funny are not fun at parties. Larry David is an incredible, incredible comedy writer. You are out of your mind. You are out of your... Dude, come on, dude. Are you kidding me? Even Seinfeld is like... Seinfeld as a standalone work, was carried by Larry David, but still is... Especially for its time, it was incredible. Curb Your Enthusiasm is incredible. Larry David is incredible. That's not Larry David as a comedian or as a comedy writer is fantastic. You're like, what the? I don't even understand who you would hail as a champion of comedy writing if Larry David is not even in the top 10 on that list. What the? Who? I know speaking about comedy in a leftist community is always the dumbest thing to do, but jokes aren't fun, and anyone who enjoys jokes aren't fun at parties. My party's the Second International. Yeah. I hate that I'm old enough to agree. I mean, Nathan Fielder is great too, but Seinfeld, the show was so well written, it had to get Steve Bannon rich in return, deal with the devil. That's true. People don't remember this, but people probably don't know this, but Steve Bannon, when he was at Goldman Sachs, basically purchased all the Seinfeld library, like all the Seinfeld IP, and it amassed a fortune for him. Steve Bannon also at Goldman Sachs funded gold farmers in China, like power farmers and power levelers in China. Yeah. Fun facts. The more you know. What was the name of the book? It's from The Devil's Bargain. I think is it The Devil's Bargain? Yeah, book by Joshua Green, Devil's Bargain, that details Steve Bannon, Donald Trump's a 27 book by Bloomberg Businessweek journalist Joshua Green about the partnership between Donald Trump and Steve Bannon that led to their 2016 political victory and the rise of the alt-right. You have to say in WoW. Yeah, gold farmers in WoW, in World of Warcraft. WoW gold, not real gold. Yeah, Steve Bannon, the parasite that never goes away. Additional nugget about Larry David hating Barry Weiss. Come for Shabbos dinner one of these weekends. A Hulu executive tells Larry David's character after a meeting, "We have Barry Weiss last Friday night. She's fantastic." Larry slams the door without answering. This was art imitating life. The actor playing the executive, Elon Gold, has said he mentioned Miss Weiss in a fit of ad-libbing because they had indeed shared a Shabbat dinner. After asking how they met, according to Mr. Gold, Mr. David answered his own question accurately enough. Let me guess. It was at an event where they said, "We must save Israel." Oh my God. Okay, this is additional information that I did not know about, and I'm a Larry Davis stan. Okay, that does make me very happy. That gives me a little bit more confidence about his actual perspective on this issue. Oh my God, that's fire. The piece is where she gets directly mentioned is the one I just showed you. Let me guess. It was an event where they said, "We must save Israel." I mean, I can see him. He's pretty secular. Brother, what are you talking about? Secular Judaism has basically taken on Zionism as a civic national religion. What the being secular does not actually mean you're not pro-Israel at all in the United States of America. Most Jews in America are secular. That doesn't mean shit. Larry David, on the other hand, I can see Larry David genuinely hating Israel because of how annoying Zionists are. Like, I can see him straight up being like, at first I was on board with this stuff, but god damn, you guys are so annoying all the time. I can totally see him just leaving this cause at some point, being like, nope, I've had enough. I can't stand you. All it took was meeting Rabbi Shmuley one time. Okay. He met Rabbi Shmuley one time and he was like, "I am pro Hamas now. Actually, I've decided, glory to the martyrs. This is unacceptable." Larry David just wants to be left alone. Yeah. Larry David meets Rabbi Shmuley one time, instantly puts up a poster of Yahya Sinwar in his house, in his studio. He's like, nah, I'm out. I'm done. This is unacceptable.